I'm actually a 21-year-old entrepreneur. I started off when I was actually 16 years old, doing some freelancing software development projects. COVID and especially the lockdown as a turning point, which gave me the ability to spend more time on my startup. Within a span of some 6-7 months, without any spend on marketing, we were able to onboard 10,000 farmers to our platform. When I walked into the award ceremony, I was actually shocked because all the faces were very familiar faces. I am actually seeing the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das sitting in the front row, the MD of Amul, Mr. Mehta over there. Then I come to know that I got an award under the category of Young Changemaker of India.
Wow.
Right?
Hey Shrinidhi,
Hi.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so firstly, it's my honor to have you, Shrinidhi. We met in Bangalore and it's really pleasure to have you interview in the Bangalore. So Shrinidhi, firstly, I would like to know what do you do and how did you get started with everything that you're doing today?
Right. So myself, Srinidhi, I am the founder and CEO of Cherri Learn. Right. So it's an impact edtech wherein we are offering syllabus-based education to primary students, and currently 1 lakh students are using our platform. Right. So that's what we do. And speaking about how I started off, so Cherri Learn journey started off 3 years back. So maybe during the time of COVID or just after the COVID hit, right? So we started off with Cherri Learn. We observed a gap in the market wherein the available edtech solutions were costly, unaffordable, right? And it did not have the content in vernacular language, which is actually spoken by more than 70% of the people in India. Right? So the third thing is lack of focus for primary education. So there were edtech solutions for higher classes, let's say competitive exams like CET, NEET, JEE and stuff. But when it comes to primary education, first standard, fifth standard, right? So there were no much players. So that's the reason we decided to launch to provide the solutions for the above mentioned problem. So yeah, that's all.
Wow, that solves a biggest problem in India, isn't it? Because most of them they focus on getting employability skills, teaching, and they focus on higher education students. But I believe that the foundation of a students is very important, which is like
Yes.
first to fifth.
Yes,
And
yes.
you are solving the biggest problem of India right now.
Right, we are trying to
Right,
solve it.
right. So when you spoke about you had onboarded almost 1 lakh students
Yes.
on Cherri Learn, and you also mentioned, because I was watching some of your videos, and you mentioned that COVID was the time that changed your life. Tell
Yes.
me more about it.
Yeah. So I'm actually a 21-year-old entrepreneur. So I'm
Wow.
21 now.
Okay.
Right. So I started off when I was actually 16 years old. Right. So I just started off with doing some freelancing software development projects. And when I turned 18 was when I incorporated my first company, that is Sarvagna Infotech LLP under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So I was doing all these things part time. So I was going to college, and in the evening I used to do this. But during COVID, no college, right? So everything was online. So then my parents were like, okay, you do whatever you want to do, right? So then I focused on my startup on full-time basis. And so that's why I consider COVID and especially the lockdown as a turning point, which gave me the ability to spend more time on my startup. Yes.
Very nice. And I also heard that you mentioned that your parents were concerned about
Yes.
your education, but
Yes.
today you are already solving the biggest problem and you are providing that education to so many students today. So tell me more about how was your parents' reaction, because you started at the age of 16 and you were in school. So it's very difficult for people to get out, especially parents are concerned about the 10th standard, you need to clear that and then get into with a good job and stuff. So when you got started, did you face any challenges at home?
So when I started off, I used to do freelancing projects like developing websites for people, right? So second thing was simultaneously I started a YouTube channel called as Science Sarvagna.
Wow.
Right? So Sarvagna means a person who knows everything, and even Sarvagna is actually name of a Kannada poet. Right?
Nice.
Yeah. So through that YouTube channel, when I was in school, I used to read content of physics let's say quantum physics of MSc students and quantum mechanics, and I used to study about it, and I used to record videos and upload in YouTube. So back then, so even my company name, that is Sarvagna Infotech LLP, which I incorporated it at the age of 18, that was a software services company. And the parent company of Cherri Learn, that is Sarvagna EduTech Private Limited. The word Sarvagna is actually derived from the name of the YouTube channel, and the name of the YouTube channel is derived from the name of a Kannada poet. Right?
Wow,
yeah.
that's so interesting. And how did this idea got started? Because you were in school, so how did you have this thought that I need to do this?
So back then, so till the age of 14, I did not had a smartphone or an internet connection at my home, right? So we did not had like laptops or even a smartphone back then. But when I turned 15, like when I was in 8th standard, I got my first smartphone with a 2G internet connection.
Crazy.
So yeah, so that was the biggest that was the biggest eureka moment for me. So then through the internet accessibility what I got, right, so I started searching online and so searching in YouTube and searching in like Googling and bringing things, right. So that's how I got to know about more things, and a curiosity developed inside me about learning new things and doing new things.
So when you started, did you have a clarity that okay, I need to do this, or did you try multiple things before you figure out doing what you were doing?
Yeah. So as I told, first I started off with software services, like developing websites.
As an agency?
Yes, as an agency, handling people's social media and stuff, right? So then I decided to pivot into a product-based company. Okay. See, because what happens is, as a service-based company, you do a lot of money with zero risk. So you will actually handle client projects, and client pays you a monthly retainer and you give services to him. If the business works or not for him, you will make money. But there is no impact in it, right? So impact is when you develop a product and that reaches to thousands or lakhs of people and it impacts their life. So the first company what I launched was an agri-tech company in collaboration with one person, right? So basically the thing is, the concept was, to provide digitized slips to farmers who actually, provides milk and other dairy products to these the raw materials. So we digitized it, and within a span of some 6-7 months, without any spend on marketing, we were able to onboard 10,000 farmers to our platform.
Wow.
So basically, when I was 17, the government-owned news channel Doordarshan recorded an interview with me, and they aired it. So even it's available now, right? So back then, when it was aired, I was just 17 years old.
So what was the problem was solved for farmers?
So basically, when they supply milk to the dairies, right? So they used to get a physical slip. That thermal printed slips, used to vanish in few days. Right? There was no mechanism wherein they could actually keep a track on how much milk they have put, so that when the billing cycle happens, so how much money they should actually get from the dairy. So since this was fully digitized, in the calendar they can choose from date to date, and they used to actually able to see the report.
That was more of manual work.
Yeah. So which is automated through technology, right? So yeah, that's the thing. But immediately, we actually ran it as a pilot for about 1 year, and then actually, few things didn't work as expected. So then we, decided to, shut down the project. So then in 2020, so we started off with the concept of Cherri Learn, and so far we are working on Cherri Learn.
So basically, if I have to just summarize that, you have tested and tried a lot of things before you figure out what you have to do in your life, right? So okay, so because there's a lot of people, like even when I got started, I was confused at what should I pick up and where should I head. So is it necessary for us to have that clarity when we get started?
Having some clarity is actually important. See, what worked for me may not work for you, right? It's like raising a baby, So the way one parent raises a baby, right? So it's not a universal thing, right? So so it's just similar to that. Like your startup, it's your baby, right? So how you raise it, it's up to you, and like how I raise my startup is up to me, and what worked for me, it may not necessarily work for you.
And on the other hand, when you talk about Cherri Learn, tell me more about it.
Right. So Cherri Learn, currently we have three syllabus, right?
Okay.
So that is CBSE, which is actually followed by almost all the states in India, especially schools which are affiliated to CBSE,
Oh wow.
right? So we have CBSE content and we have Karnataka state syllabus in both the languages, that is English and Kannada. So that's what our USP is,
Correct.
having Kannada, right? So, and we also have our beta version in Malayalam also, which is actually
Wow.
currently tested by around 20-25,000 beta users in Kerala.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right. So, and yeah, so currently we are offering it for K5, that is up to 5th standard students. But we are actually getting too much of a request to actually expand it to 6th, 7th,
Sixth,
and
seventh.
yes, higher classes.
Okay.
So we are actually giving a thought to actually vertically expand our offerings.
And as far as I know, that Cherri Learn is basically focusing on tier 3 and tier 4 cities,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
So when you focus on tier 3 and tier 4 cities, mostly people, they don't have smartphones,
Yes.
right? So Cherri Learn is basically an app where people are using it on phone. So how
Smartphones.
are you dealing with this challenge?
So COVID was actually not only a turning point for me, it was actually a turning point for many of the people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So basically, when I have personally been to more than 120 schools, right? Personally interacted with more than 10,000 students so far. So, and doing it on month basis, right? So almost 98 to 99% of students in tier 3 and tier 4 villages and towns, right? So they have at least one smartphone at their home actually.
Yes.
So what happened was, after COVID or else during the COVID lockdown, right? So even schools started conducting classes online, right? So through Google Meets and
Yes.
stuff. So even people who didn't had a smartphone back then ended up purchasing at least a second-hand smartphone.
Very
So
true.
in tier 4 cities, most of the parents who didn't had a smartphone, right? They at least have a second-hand smartphone now. So that network and the internet disruption after Geo, so that's something which we need to leverage
Right.
to deliver
Right.
quality
Right.
education.
Very nice, very nice. I'm absolutely loving the conversation. So when you got started, what are the challenges that you faced?
Yeah. So when we started off, one thing was I was very young, so that was a positive thing for me, and I would not say a negative thing or a barrier or something. So there was a age factor, right? So when you reach out to people, when you reach out to educational institutes to collaborate, so usually it's like, oh, this young person, like
Yeah.
school going good,
Right,
what will
right.
he do, right? One thing was I was very young, so that was a positive thing for me, and I would not say a negative thing or a barrier or something. So there was a age factor, right? So when you reach out to people, when you reach out to educational institutes to collaborate, so usually it's like, oh, this young person, school going good,
Right,
what will
right.
he do, right? And second thing is even to deliver this project and to have a bigger impact. So you actually need funds, right?
Correct.
So like raising funds and reaching out to people was a bit difficult back then, but it was a challenging and a interesting process to go through. So yeah.
So when you were, you mentioned that you were very young and people were also questioning that, yeah, okay, he's just young. So what was the ratio of conversion whenever you used, because this is solving the biggest problem, but still people were not aware of it and they were maybe rejecting you. So like how did you deal with all of these things?
So more than these two problems, right? So the biggest problem was entire cities, they don't have exposure to this ecosystem. So
Correct.
99% of our users, right? So they are first time edtech users.
Ah.
So they are using an educational app for the very first time, and they don't know the concept or not aware of the concept that there is something exists which is called a subscription. So when we reached out to people, right, especially parents, so they're like, I have a smartphone. I'm using WhatsApp, which is free.
Right.
I'm using Facebook, which is free.
Right.
For me to actually set a benchmark saying that, see, there is an XYZ company here which charges 40,000, 50,000 rupee subscription per year.
Correct.
See, I'm offering it at 1 rupee
1
per day.
rupee,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they lacked the concept that there is something called a subscription which exists.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So anyway, I am subscribing to my SIM card, right? I am paying 299 rupees every
Every
month.
month.
So and above that, I should pay 1 rupee. Is it? So that was a reaction from parents.
Uh-huh.
So
So
yeah.
how did you create this awareness in them?
So basically, what happened was we used to conduct too many events. We used to reach out to government schools. We used to, have gatherings and educating parents on why edtech is important and how edtech can impact edtech at 1 rupee per day can actually bring a positive change in their kids' learning, outcome. So we used to do that. So, but currently we have figured out a different model wherein we are actually able to actually deliver Cherri Learn to a larger audience
Wow.
by able to along with skipping this problem. So how we are doing this is what we are actually collaborating with corporates, let's say XYZ, some FMCG company. So we collaborate with them, and as a part of their marketing efforts, right, so they sponsor 5 to 10,000 students.
Crazy.
And those 5 to 10,000 students will get Cherri Learn free of cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically parents now they think that okay, everything is for free.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah. So as in there are people who actually pay 1 rupee
also.
per day and subscribe to it,
Right.
and people who cannot afford or don't have the mechanism to pay, so we are actually acting as a bridge between corporates who want to sponsor kids and these students.
Very nice. So what was your biggest setback till now?
Biggest setback, see, every day I actually consider as a new challenge, which excites me. So far in my entrepreneurial journey, so there were many challenges, but yeah, as I told, I consider every challenge as an interesting journey, right?
Right.
So I don't consider anything as a setback. But in my life, the biggest setback or the bad experience was maybe 1.5 years back. 1.5 years back, I actually lost my mother. Right.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, throughout my journey, she used to be with me. Even I used to work for 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I had a small home office kind of setup.
Right.
So she used to sit next to me and work with me. But all of a sudden, at the age of 42, she expired. So that is one of the major setback. Right, yeah.
Sorry to hear that again, and thank you for sharing that. I hope you get more strength and you get she's there always around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, on the other hand, when you got started with an entrepreneurship journey, and you're still a student,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you manage your studies and how do you focus on your business as well, having this big team and this big reaches?
Yeah. So basically, 3 years back, I have 3.5 years back, I have actually dropped out of full-time degree program.
Huh.
Right. So then I completed my degree through distance education. Right. So currently, I am actually doing grads in IIT Madras. In the domain of data science and applications. So that is the only program. I guess they have added one more program wherein you should not you can be out of the campus.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing.
currently I'm actually studying in IIT Madras. Yeah, it's a 4-year UG program. So only for the exams, we need to go to
You
physical
go.
exam centers and
Right,
things
right.
like that. Yeah. So basically, after PU, I have not stepped into any regular college because, to be frank, I used to consider it as a time waste, right? So like not to degrade the
College or
system
university,
or
yeah.
whatever, but it was like it was not worth for me to sit for 8 hours, so
Right,
for
right.
3 or 4 years and.
I wish I had this thought back then because I was a person who was like, where is this 0.5 marks, ma'am? Now I realize that okay, then my degree is just aside. So on the other hand, I also saw you teaching BSc student, your own college students,
Yeah,
teaching
yeah,
them,
yeah.
and I heard that
Yeah.
your professor was appreciating you. That how was that experience?
Yeah. So to be frank, after second PU, I had enrolled into a BSc program in a local college, right? But I went to college for only 18 days,
Oh,
right? So then I became busy with the startups. So there was too much of attendance shortage and stuff. So then I completely dropped out, right? So when I was in the college, so I was in first year, but actually I was conducting internship program and a class to teach final year BCA students on
Wow.
programming and how to develop websites and things like that. Just trying to share some knowledge. That's it.
right.
Yeah.
So did they degrade you that okay, you're just a junior and we are seniors over here? So how was the reaction of the audience over there?
See, majority of the students valued the knowledge and the learning outcome what they are getting. So, and I was least bothered on what opinion or people might throw on me. So I was just busy with sharing knowledge. So that's how it all started, right? So when I started my YouTube channel, so I was like, even you can actually search. So you will see a small kid version of me, speaking about black holes.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you were very young over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So even back then, I did not think, what people might feel after seeing this. I was like, see, I just want to share something. Let me share. So whatever comes next to it, I don't care.
So what drives you?
Impact, right? So creating a positive impact, in people's life, and currently in education, and in the long run, in whatever domain possible, creating an impact in people's life. So that's what drives me.
I think the intention matters a lot.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to start their entrepreneurship journey, so what are the 5 learnings maybe you can give it to them?
5.
3 to 5.
Right. So first thing is there is no right time to start something. So you can start as a very young person, and you can, or else you can actually start as an old person also. So for example, you have entrepreneurs who started off after 60, 65, like in the case of KFC or something.
Right.
So but became successful, and recently you have entrepreneurs who built world class products,
Yes.
raised millions of funding.
Yes.
And so one thing is age or timing doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
So second thing is nowadays, you see in media companies raising investments. XYZ company raised $10 million investment at $100 million valuation, but don't go behind that valuation game, right? So just focus on value creation. So valuation is the outcome of what you're doing, right? So I see many companies valuation and a big bubble busting out, right?
Correct.
So we see many examples these days. So that's the second thing. So third thing is purely focus on solving problem, right? So first thing is so start, if you want to start off something which actually solves a problem. So people will be rewarded to solve somebody's problem, right?
Correct.
So that's the thing. Yeah. So focus on product, focus on distribution. People don't care, if your company or brand is endorsed by a big celebrity or something. So ultimately what I am getting, so that's what people value the most, right?
Very true.
Yeah. And be confident, and even in our journey there were times wherein we felt it is a dead end, and there is nothing in front. But we were like, that never giving up attitude and continuing things will actually help a lot, because see, it's like binomial, 0 or 1, right?
0 or 1.
Yeah. So basically you start something, and after a year or something, if you lose drive and stop, it's 0. It is 0, right? So whatever efforts you have put in, it will be 0.
Right.
But if you continue, if you try hard and smart, and keep the drive running, right? So maybe by the end of second or third year, it will be 1. So yeah. So.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much again. And recently I heard that you recently got Hindu award.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it. I'm excited to hear that.
Right. So it's actually the Hindu Business Line Changemakers Award. So in the month of October, I got
23.
This year. Yeah.
This year, okay.
Yes. This year, October, I got a call from one of the journalists from the Hindu group, the Hindu newspaper, right? So I was just told that, he wants to actually write an article about me, right? So that's the only information what I had. So then I was like, fine, you can come to my place. So he visited our office. So then, he just disclosed that. So you are actually shortlisted for an award, but the final disclosure and everything will happen in the award ceremony, right? So basically, I was thought, okay, this is some there are many awards out there, right? This is some award. So then after he went back, so I just googled the award, and to my surprise, it was a very prestigious award.
Wow.
And every year that award is actually given by one or the other union cabinet ministers. So 1 year, ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh gave out the award.
Wow.
Vice President Mr. Naidu had given that awards, right?
Wow.
The first year when the award series started, so the person, the entrepreneur who got that award was actually Sridhar Vembu, the founder of Zoho.
Wow.
So one of the persons whom I personally look up to.
Right.
So yeah. So basically, yeah. So the award ceremony happened on 3rd of November in ITC Maurya, New Delhi. So when I walked into the award ceremony, so the people who were sitting, right, so that I was actually shocked because all the faces were very familiar faces. I am actually seeing the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das
Wow.
sitting in the front row. I am seeing the MD of Amul, Mr. Mehta over there. I am seeing the Chief Secretary of Finance, Mr. Goel sitting over
Wow.
there. So then I come to know that I got an award under the category of Young Changemaker of India,
Wow.
right? So by the Hindu Business Line, and the award was actually given by our Union Power Minister, right? So I was fully nervous, and I went to the state, accepted the award, and RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das sir and Amul MD Mr. Mehta, they were my co-award winners.
Oh,
So
that's
we
amazing.
yeah. So I was very overwhelmed and humbled at the same time. So we actually shared the same stage and
Same stage.
yeah.
Wow. So how was your father's reaction after that?
Yeah, he was very happy and he was proud about what's happening, right?
Right.
So and it actually gave us a very good visibility for Cherri Learn and what impact we are actually creating.
Right. It's my honor to again interview here because the kind of impact that you have been bringing, it's very rare and there are very few people that are doing it. And I'm glad that you're doing it, and I really wish that this Cherri Learn grow more, reach more people, and solve the big problem of every individual who want to get educated again. So yeah, before we end, I want to know that do you have? Can you give one message to our audience who are listening, who will be listening this podcast? So what is that one message that you would like to give them?
Right. So the thing is, education education is actually the key to everything and anything and everything in this world, right? So if we set right the education and learning outcome, so we are we are actually close to solving all the problems what we have today in this world. So let us take a pledge to actually contribute something or the other to education and actually to educating young Indians. So India is a country with majority of young population, right?
Right.
But we don't have time.
Correct.
Right? So max to max we have next 25-30 years wherein we can actually utilize this young population.
Correct.
And for this young population to be resourceful, so educating them and upskilling is important. So let's work towards it.
Wow. Thank you so much again for the
Thank you
beautiful
for
message.
having me here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I do look forward again to collaborate and meet again.
Definitely.
So may Cherri Learn grow more. All the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.